Hi, class. So here is a little bit more about the dummy variables or using dichotomous variables that I talked about. And because y'all seem to connect more when I used a more realistic example, I'm going to do that. So let's say that we have a data set where we have what race someone is and what their caseload is, so how many clients they have. And again, in SPSS, um, try not to be overwhelmed by this. It looks like a lot going on, but it's because I wanted to show you everything at once. So we have our race variable where we said, what is your race or ethnicity? And they could say that they were white, black, Asian, or Latina. We know that these are not optimal ways of collecting race, but this is oversimplified to help it make sense for y'all, hopefully. Right? So white, black, Asian, or Latina. And then what is their caseload? How many clients do they have? And so this is what our data set looks like. We have 20 respondents, and we can see that they have provided what race they are, and they've told us how many clients they have. So the first thing that we always want to do when we're looking at our data is just run some descriptives to kind of get a sense of who is in our sample. So I just ran these frequencies, frequencies and then means. So I looked at what races are they? So we have 7 white people, 4 black people, 4 Asian people, and 5 Latina people. And the average number of clients was about 26. The smallest caseload was 5, and that went all the way up to 82 clients that they were seeing. So then what happens if we run a correlation between race and caseload to test the association between the two variables? We're interested here in are there differences between caseload sizes of social workers of different races, right? So I'm going to run a correlation, and here I've written in race and caseload. So I ran that, and here's the result I get. This is my correlation table. And so the correlation coefficient, so basically the answer is that it is 0.1. It's not significant. But what does this mean, right? Like what do I do with this? Because again, for race, 0 is 1, or so 0 is white, 1 is black, 2 is Asian, and 3 is Latina. So when I get that result, what the heck does that mean, right? And that's why we got to use dummy variables. So one of the cool things about SPSS is that it lets you toggle your data to view it either as the words where I've told it, white, black, Latina, Asian, but you can also click this and that'll change it to that 0, 1, 2, 3, right? And so SPSS will run the statistical test, but the answer doesn't really make sense. So instead we have to create dummy variables. And so we're going to turn that race variable, which has 4 options, into 4 separate dichotomous variables. And I have this code that I'm going to run. I'm also going to output this in the resources module if it's helpful to you next quarter. And you can see here, I'm using this code to create new variables. So basically I'm saying if they said they were white, create this new variable that is just for white people, where 1 means they're white and 0 means that they're not white. And then same for the black respondents. If they said that they were black, they're coded as 1. If they said that they're not black, or they did not say that they were black, they get coded as a 0. And if this code or syntax is a little bit overwhelming to you, you can also do this with point and clicking here. And so this is called recoding into different variables. And so you select your thing, you plop it over here, you write in the new variable name, and then you tell it if the person to our original race variable said that they were white, and we know that that was coded as a 0. For our new variable, we want that to be a 1. And that means any other response they gave. So if they said that they were Black, if they said they were Asian, if they said they were Latina, everything else is coded as a 0. Okay, so I did that for all 4 categories. And I'm going to run that. And you saw it happen in real time, folks, right? It happened right here. You saw it create those variables. And so then we can go back over to the data view, and look at that. It made these new variables for us. So again, I'll even clear it out and show you in real time. It's like magic. Boop. So I don't need to go and do that by hand. And here, this is just kind of to make it pretty, beautiful. And what I always recommend anytime that you're creating a new variable is just to run some basic frequencies or whatever, and just to see if anything funky happened. So I ran that, and we can see above that we started out with 7 white people. So when we come back down here, we should see 7 white people, and we do, right? So we have 20 total participants, 7 of them are white, 13 of them are not white. Or we have 20 total, I'm not sure if I said that right or not, right? We have 20 total participants, 4 of them are Black, 16 of them are not Black. We have 4 Asian participants, 16 of them are not Asian, 5 Latina, 15 of them are not. And here it also calculates the percent for you. And if you have anyone who declined to respond, that's where the valid percent will look a little bit different, right? So cool, that's looking great. And so now we're going to rerun the correlation using our new dummy variables. And this is what we get. So now we can actually interpret these results. We can see here, we look for the little stars that tells us if it's statistically significant or not. And we can see here for our white respondents, we see a negative 0.5 coefficient. The negative means that their caseloads are smaller. It's a negative correlation. So their responses to the caseload number is smaller. Then we look at our Black respondents. We see the little asterisks. There's no minus sign, so that means it's a positive correlation. That doesn't mean good, right? That means that for Black respondents, they were more likely to report higher caseloads. Same for Asian respondents, and then for Latina respondents, that did not reach statistical significance, so there wasn't a difference there, right? So again, this lets us actually interpret the results as compared to our first correlation, where we just correlated race, which was a nominal variable. It had 4 different categories that we can't put in any ranked order that makes sense. With how many clients they have, it did not reach significance whatsoever, right? And then again, we don't know how to interpret that. So by making those dummy variables, by looking specifically at white respondents and Black respondents and Asian and Latina respondents, we can see what the results mean, and we can actually make sense of it. And then because we're using the dummy variables, we can ignore all of the columns over here, right, where it says like race, white, race, Black, Asian, Latina again, and we can just look at that first column. So I hope that that is helpful. Let me know if there's anything I can help clarify with this, and just rest assured that next quarter, Gerard is going to give y'all a lot of support as you're doing this with your own data set. And we can see here, this is the last thing here. I did assign those value labels for it, right? So it reminds me what it is that I was doing, because maybe I look at it next week and I don't remember what it is. And we can toggle between the words and the numbers here, which again, Excel doesn't let you do that. But yeah, I hope that was helpful. Let me know if you have any questions about it at this point. I'll bring my laptop next week to class so that if anyone wants to see this in action or test it out themselves, you can do that. But next quarter, you'll be getting a lot more support around this.